I wanted to explore the idea of parents who are worried about their late teenage and early adult children. So, talking about like 15 to 25. Someone I know said they are going to fly across the planet to be with their 21-year-old because they're a little bit confused about life. So, I was wondering what advice you have for people today in 2025 where the the young people seem a bit confused and their parents may also be confused how to advise them.
This age has always been very confusing for many as young adults have to figure out what they are doing with their lives. And there is generally a consensus degree of pressure that society and cultures encourage on these young people to make the right choices and follow a path that is going to be the most successful. Though the world is changing, of course, and especially young people today have grown up in a different era where they've been surrounded by technology and their brains are literally wired a little bit differently. And young people today are a little bit overwhelmed by the incredible overabundance of information and ideas of the diverse and varied world that is out there that they're aware of, though they haven't really experienced firsthand. And so, our advice, first of all, to young people is to make sure that you gain practical experience and tangible real world experiences. Remember that seeing something behind a screen is not the same as living it firsthand. We would also say make sure that you remember that life is an experiment. It's about trial and error and learning from your mistakes so that you can really choose with confidence from your heart what is right for you. Don't be afraid of making mistakes and don't be afraid of disappointing others. Remember that this life is for you and you to be the being that you are. The only way to do that is to activate the intuition and splendor of the heart by doing what excites you, following that in formula, living through the path to act in love, and bringing in passion, power, peace, and presence into all that you do. And as you allow yourself to be at that higher frequency of energy, synchronicity will bring to you exactly what you need.
Okay, I was wondering if you could give advice to parents of young people who are, say, late teenage or early 20s, who are their children are confused, and the parents may also be confused in this changing world. What would you say to the parents?
Well, yes, remember that this young adult age is a very intense time in general because this is a time where people are becoming adults and choosing what to do. And societies in many cultures put intense pressure for people to make the best choices, to follow the right path, to be completely successful. But really, many are not connected with the true purpose of existence, which is to be yourself and be a being of love, as love is your essence. So that is the most important thing, first of all, to make sure that young people don't choose to do things that don't light up their heart. And this has always been a challenge. And yes, in some ways, the world is orienting now more towards encouraging people to be individual and to be who they are, but within certain parameters. And at the same time, now because of technology and the internet, there is now an overabundance of information, of possibilities of different worlds, of so many different ideas and ways of living that young people are very overwhelmed. And one very important thing to encourage them to realize is that experiential knowledge is completely different from knowing about something or reading about something or seeing it online. It's an absolutely different thing to live it. And so they have to gravitate towards experiential knowledge. Remember as well that this young adult time is a time of learning. And to really benefit from learning, you have to absolutely love learning. Learn about things that you love. Let life guide you to discover what you love and completely immerse yourself in the process of experiencing, learning more, and teaching it to others. This will allow you to, yes, go through a process of trial and error. And this is absolutely crucial. You have to make mistakes along the way. And it's okay to think that you're very excited about something and find that after some months or years, your excitement fades away, and instead your heart is pulling you in another direction. Allow that to be okay. Allow that to be natural. Instead of focusing on making sure that you get to success as fast as you can, recognize that success is constantly present in the moment when you are in that high frequency state of unconditional love. And all of those P qualities that we describe in the Pact to Enact Love are absolutely crucial. Do you fill yourself with passion? Do you fill yourself with purpose? Do you fill yourself with peace and pleasure and power every day? What activities guide you to light yourself up in that energy? And as you immerse yourself in that energy, where does it take you? Remember, as you do this, synchronicity takes care of the rest. And your the things that you need on your path will present themselves to you. Remember, even now, many of these things are already there. So dig into, what does my heart want? What does my heart long for? And take off some of the pressure to be anything other than who you are. And in this way, young people will find themselves much more free. And we would also suggest young people might need to take some inspiration from the youth of the past, so to speak, because this time is in some senses more overwhelming and oversaturated with information and some limitations. Remember what life might have been like before, not to recreate it, but to tune into a sense of freedom and expansiveness that sometimes the young people today don't feel as much because they are overwhelmed in their immersion with tech. Remember, life happens in physical reality, not behind a screen. So make sure they take as much time to really experience love and joy and exhilaration in their being. And yes, they will find a perfect path for them.
That's great. I mean, it reminds me, my own mother was 18 years old when World War II broke out, and my father was 22 years old, and they both quickly put on uniform. And everybody did. They just rushed out to this war, and wow, that really damaged them and left them damaged in ways which affected me when I grew up. So, have you any comments?
Well, yes, as you say, trauma that affects one generation then will come to affect all the generations from then on. And this takes place on multiple levels. On one level, as you know, it is the behaviors and the beliefs that change through these intense experiences. They can make people more rigid, more controlling, and this can lead to their children behaving in similar ways, or in some cases, rebelling and embodying the opposite frequencies and attitudes. So it depends as well if the parents are expressing themselves in a loving and connected way. Because if they are not in a completely surrendered and loving way, they will inspire instead rebellion that will bring their children to find alternative energies and often oppositional frequencies. And yes, on a certain level, the trauma is genetic. And so memories from your ancestors can be stored in you, and certain fears can live inside of you. But the same is true about talents and gifts. So if your ancestors were great writers, you'll have that same skill with words. If they were great at math and architecture, some of those skills might be present in you. If they were intuitive seers, witch doctors, they then you might have some of that same magic, you could say, in your genes. And yes, things are constantly changing, and especially in these times with AI and so many things, that humans will be less adept at memorizing things and utilizing their brains in certain ways. But despite this, the human brain will develop other capacities. Humans will find that they become somehow more physical as life becomes streamlined. Instead of spending so much time in their head, they will find that the computers take care of so much of the mental work that once occupied their time. And in this way, actually humans will gradually become more embodied through AI as long as they don't get sucked into living in the so-called metaverses or these alternate realities presented by technology, which some will struggle with.
Okay, that's great. Well, I'm very complete unless there's something more you'd like to add.
We thank you very much, and yes, we will say celebrate youth as an incredible time, a once in a lifetime opportunity to learn and to grow. Focus on having memorable experiences that teach you what it means to be who you are. Don't allow your youth to go to waste doing things that are other people's dreams. For many young people, they've had a life of being inoculated with other people's hopes and dreams, so much so that they don't really know what their own are. And so it's very important to take some time to turn inwards and come to recognize, what do I want? What do I want if I couldn't possibly disappoint anyone? What do I want if I knew I was completely unconditionally loved regardless of what happened? And with these big questions, big shifts and changes can take place.
On the spaceship of Babel, we are gliding through the stars on a 5-year mission beyond Jupiter and Mars. A celestial encounter on a future Noah's Ark, and you won't hear us coming as we whisper in the dark. There's an Ewok close behind me as we try to disembark here. Obi-Wan Kenobi as we whisper in the dark.